Welcome to Think Big and Shine. I'm your host, Elizabeth Mary Hancock. And through these interviews, we're going to inspire and motivate you to create your dream business, release your blocks, and live your passion. And today I'm delighted to be joined by Gabrielle Pelici. Let me tell you a bit about Gabby. She is a holistic health expert and founder of Women in Wellness Career Training. She has more than 2,000 hours of training in holistic modalities and is certified in massage therapy, healing touch, Kundalini yoga, Jivamukti yoga, and mindfulness meditation. She is regularly featured in national and local media such as MSNBC, Huffington Post, and Spirituality and Health magazine. Dr. Gabby offers private coaching for a select number of clients who are looking to create more success in their work and in their life. Welcome, Gabby.
Thanks so much for having me, Liz.
Oh, it's an absolute pleasure. I'm really looking forward to our interview today. I know it's going to help so many people. So before we get kind of stuck into the content and what we want to give people, I love starting off just learning a bit about kind of your story and how you ended up doing what you're doing now. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Sure. I went to university to study psychology. I was really fascinated with the mind and behavior. And when I was there, I was introduced to some people who were doing alternative healing therapies. And at the time, I was a very stressed out, anxious university student, and I did not have good lifestyle habits. I didn't have good eating habits or exercise habits. And I was introduced to this community, and I started to study and learn more, and I just fell in love with everything that they were doing. And I noticed that as I used these practices, my life became much more balanced, and I became, much more emotionally balanced. I could think more clearly. I could work better, and I really saw that it was a holistic benefit. It was not just my body that was improving, but all aspects of my life that were improving. Yeah. And I just continued to study. As I learned more, I, enrolled in programs. I went into a massage therapy program in 2001. When I finished that, I enrolled in an energy medicine program called Healing Touch. When I finished that, I enrolled in some yoga trainings, and I just really wanted to have as many tools as possible to help myself and to help other people. And then I wrote my dissertation about women who were practicing different forms of alternative medicine and began teaching that. And for the last 10 years, I've been teaching holistic health and mind-body medicine at several different universities in the U.S. And the most recent passion that's emerged from all of that is as my students are completing their training in holistic health, they are coming out into the world and wanting to share that passion with other people, but they're struggling to establish a practice and develop the business management skills that they need to, be effective in getting clients and earning a living doing this. Because it's one thing to do this as a hobby, but then it's totally different to do it as a career. So I've developed a training for them called the Women in Wellness Career Training, and I've been guiding them and helping them to navigate the business side, the entrepreneur side of doing this practice. And it's been really successful, and women are becoming very empowered to, have the business that they love, like you described, to be able to have that business that's built on passion and service.
Fabulous. That's great. And how lovely to have discovered all this stuff at university, because I know I didn't discover it till I was over 30. And when I look back, if I'd have known about all this whole different world of healing and support and comfort that you get from these different modalities and the way it helps your body as well as your mind, I look back, I think if I'd had that in my 20s, my goodness, my life would have been so much different. And, it would have been so much more easy.
It's ironic. When I was in the trainings, most of the women that were in the trainings with me were in their 30s and 40s. And they kept saying to me, you're so lucky that you're here now. And at the time, I didn't understand why they were saying that because I was 20. And I was like, why do they keep telling me that I'm lucky? I don't understand.
Yeah, I get them.
Right, but now that I'm 40, now I understand, it's so great to start these things when you're 20 instead of when you're 30 or 40.
Yeah, absolutely. That's brilliant, fantastic. And it's great that you're helping these women who have these gifts or this, this access and want to share their gifts with the world. And I think that's really needed, because I think as, when you've got such a gift as being able to help people, there's this, and you've got this burning desire to share it with people, there's sometimes a reluctance to pay for to charge what you're worth. And that's a lot of the reasons why people in alternative therapies never really make enough money to make it viable or to go beyond, what just the minimum that they need to survive. So I guess getting that part of getting them aligned with the fact that they need to charge money and they need to create a business, and then once they've done that, then they can, heal the world kind of thing. I guess that's a part of it, is it not?
Yeah, I think that's a really big challenge. I think that most heart-centered practitioners are doing this kind of work because they love it, because they want to give it away, they want to share it with people. They come from a paradigm of service and serving. And then when they have to make that shift to charging money and to creating the business strategies and being in that mindset of now I'm running a business, that can be really challenging. It can also be really intimidating, because most of the heart-centered practitioners that I know, they have an aversion to spreadsheets and to, numbers. And so that's not their strength. Their strength is emotion and the mind and, empathy. Their strengths really lie in another place. So they also have to get over that intimidation of, organizing their finances just from a number perspective,
Yeah.
And then there's also this kind of aversion to the very salesy approach, the kind of aggressive, like when you're going to buy a car or something, like that sort of aggressive, salesy approach to business. Most of the women that I work, they really dislike that too. They don't want to be bombarded with messages and emails and calls, and they think that if they become a business, then they have to do that. And so part of it is navigating the process and finding your authentic way of selling what you do and your authentic way of promoting what you do, and not just adopting, some other approach, but really just finding a way that's comfortable for you, that you define your value and you're aligned with that value, and you know that you have to charge so that you can continue doing your work, but you don't have to do things that are unethical or ugly or unattractive to you. You can do it in a way that makes you happy. So that's a big part of the process too.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess you noticed that there was a need for this, which is why you've kind of moved from the pure teaching into the coaching for these people. What else led you to make that change?
Yeah, I was getting a lot of emails and phone calls from students when they graduated saying, I've just finished this master's program, and in the U.S., a master's program can cost between $30,000 and $50,000. It's a huge investment. And then they were still working at a job, like a 9-to-5 job, and they said, oh, well, I taught one yoga class, or I volunteered at my kids' school to teach them about nutrition, but I haven't been able to make this transition. So they were saying that they were still stuck in what they were doing before they made this investment in their education. And I just thought that was really unfortunate and unnecessary. Not everyone is going to be able to be an entrepreneur and start their own business, but you should be able to take the stuff that you're learning and to use it to make a living. You should be able to find ways, whether it's working in a hospital or a wellness center or setting up your own office, you should be able to find ways that you can use this if you're going to make the investment in your education. And so I just wanted to find, some way to help them. And I feel that people learn and grow best in community. So one-on-one coaching can be valuable. I can respond to their email or their phone call and give them advice. But really, if they're part of a community and they're all facing similar issues, they don't feel so alone, and they don't personalize the issues as much. It's not that they're doing something wrong or they're inadequate in some way. If they, are having certain struggles, it's part of the process. And when they hear that from their peers, they feel so much more empowered because they know that they're not the only one that's having that experience.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. We call it Zone 3 support, and I mean, in my coaching program that I run, we have a Facebook group that's secret, so no one else can see it, only the people on that course, and just the support in there towards each other is just so beautiful. Just really, it's just like having your own little family of people waving your flag and, you know, really lifting you up when you need to be lifted up. And I think it develops them, and because, you know, when someone really needs it, someone else doesn't, and then it's their turn to give, and then another time it will be their turn to receive. And this whole giving and receiving thing just helps build that kind of openness to receive, to give, but also to receive, and then receive recognition and ultimately money for your services further down the line. So I love that. I think it's a really powerful part of a group coaching program. So yeah, brilliant, really good. Cool. So what kind of things do the women that come to you, what's the typical thing they need help with? Do you follow a set program for them? Is it the same kind of things? How do you kind of get people started?
Right. I noticed that the questions were falling into certain categories. You know, the first category was, I'm so overwhelmed, I don't know what to do. So I'm interested in everything and I want to do everything and I have no idea what to do first. So that was one of the categories. And so for that, I created some meditation and visualization work that we do in the first week of my course, where you sort of tap into the unconscious vision. So somewhere deep inside of you, you probably have a clear idea of how to do this, and your mind can, you know, distract you if it just keeps focusing on worry things or stress things or being overwhelmed. So we do some work to sort of tap into the deeper unconscious vision for your work. And then the second thing that came up a lot was this idea of getting clients and doing one-on-one work with people, and how do I get clients? And what do I charge for those sessions? And, you know, how do I make those sessions profitable, like you said? So I designed the second module in my course to talk about this idea of private sessions and creating sessions that are purposeful and profitable. And then the third thing that came up a lot was students would contact me and say, I want to be like you. I want to be a teacher. How do I teach? Where do I teach? Like, how do I get a teaching job? And where am I eligible to get a teaching job? And a lot of questions came up about teaching. So the third module in my course, we talk about workshops and college courses and trainings and different things that you can offer that are part of this larger vision of your business. So it's a good way, if you do a workshop, to find clients to work with privately. And it's a great way, if you have several clients that are all struggling with the same issue, to create a group class that serves that issue. So we talk about that in the course. And then in the fourth module, we talk about publishing, because a large part of what we have to do is create content that either describes our work or describes the challenges that you face in, you know, certain problems that you have that I can help you solve. So all this idea about content creation, whether it's an article or a blog post or a video or a book, ways that you can reach people who are having a certain problem and let them know that you have solutions, you have different ways that you can serve them and help them. So we look at this whole idea about writing and publishing and how that can be a part of our business. And then in the fifth week, we explore presenting. So a lot of my students have a secret desire to give a TED Talk or to, you know, do some kind of public speaking, but there's a lot of fear there, and there's a lot of stress and, you know, insecurity and stuff. So we look at this idea about presenting and how you know, build a platform that gets you seen and heard. What is your message? What are you trying to convey? And how can you take baby steps towards a TED Talk? So baby steps might be going to your local Chamber of Commerce and giving a presentation, or, you know, even inviting people into your home. I have one woman in my course. She does health coaching, nutrition coaching, and she's taking really baby steps. She said, can I just invite 6 people to my house and do the presentation there? And I said, yeah, of course. So, just kind of building up your confidence around presenting and finding your message is part of what we do. And then in the 6th week, we talk about media and PR and social media and ways to get, free press for what you're doing. It's relatively easy to contact editors or to, post on Facebook about stuff that you're doing and get some attention and build a following. And we talk about how to keep that in alignment with your business. So everything that you're doing should be in alignment with your values, with your integrity, with your branding. It should all be in alignment so that there's a consistency there and that people know that they can come to you for a certain kind of message or service. So we explore that a bit. And then in the end, the last thing that we do is we create a plan. And this can be another thing that heart-centered practitioners have an aversion to, like actually making the schedule and like sticking to the schedule. And it's great to be inspired and it's great to have a dream, but the only way that it's actually going to happen is if you take action. And one of the things that I noticed is that my students and my clients will spend a lot of time dreaming and not a lot of time doing action. So I have them commit to actually planning out the goals and when they're going to do them and who's going to support them, who's going to be on their support team, and try to make it really grounded and really practical so that it's something that they can accomplish and that it doesn't stay a fantasy but actually becomes a reality.
Fabulous. And that's so needed as well, isn't it? I've been I've had clients who are like, well, I just don't know what to do. I've been meditating and journaling and tapping and like say, you're not going to meditate your way out of this. You've got to start taking the action. And it's like, oh, it's like, yeah, you do. You really do. So come on.
Right.
How do we plan it out? And we can, as you say, do it in baby steps, but you need to be taking action and celebrate that action, even if it's small, but it has to keep coming. So yeah, and working in the field that you work in and that I do as well, it's people like to meditate and journal and do all this stuff, which is fabulous. I'm not at all, but sometimes it's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, cool. So I think we said we were going to kind of pick 2 of those points to focus on because we haven't got time to go through each one. These interviews go so quickly. But so I think a lot of people I come into contact with, they're kind of doing, exercise classes. Maybe they're doing them part-time as well as a real job, not a real job, a full-time job, I should say, or as well as being a mum or whatever it might be. How do they take it to the next level? What advice would you give someone in that scenario?
Right. They need a transition plan. So there's a lot of people that leave a full-time job and transition to entrepreneurship, but you need to have a plan. So there can be an illusion that, well, I just quit my job and I put up a website and then I'll have all my fitness clients come to me or whatever, and that is unrealistic and that doesn't work.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I teach this 3-part methodology, which is what I've used every time I've launched anything, whether it's my massage therapy practice, I opened a wellness center, I did yoga DVDs, like all the things that I do. The first thing I do is a lot of research. I look at what other people are doing. So if it's a fitness thing, like let's say the person's a Pilates teacher, I would go out and I would talk to Pilates teacher. I would visit Pilates studios. I would see, do I have all my certifications in order? Like what certifications do I need to have? I would look at how much does it cost to buy a business license? How much would the rent be if I rented my own space? Could I do it out of my home? If so, how much would I have to spend for renovations or equipment? I do a lot of research. And sometimes I'll do research for a year before I even, put something into action so that I feel really confident when I go into action that it's going to be successful. And then the second thing that I recommend is to connect this to where the need is. So you can do the investigation about, what you want to build. You can do the research about how much it's going to cost and where you're going to execute it. But then you have to connect it to a need. So if I live in a community that has 100 Pilates teachers and it's completely saturated and there's not going to be a market for me to serve for Pilates, that's not a good thing for me to set up in my community. So what can I do to be unique, or what community can I serve that's not being served, or where am I going to be able to offer what I offer in a way that's going to be received? So we have to go through this process of finding the fit, because a lot of times we're so focused on us and what we do that we forget that there's other people out there that we need to connect with, and where are they, and how much are they willing to spend, and are they already going and using this service somewhere else, or will they come to us and use the service? And we go through this whole process of sorting that all out, and then we have to revise. So once we launch, let's say we did all the research and we decided that it would be great to have a Pilates studio in our home and have clients come, and then we start doing our marketing, we start putting the word out, and people start coming. Then we have to assess at that point, are there enough people coming or not enough? What do we have to change in order to be more successful? And this never ends. I've been doing this now for 15 years, and it is an ongoing process. It's not something that you just do it once and then you're done, because people are changing, the economy is changing, people's interests, the trends, in society are changing. Everything is always changing, and you have to maintain that change as well. And it's not a fixed thing. So that's the kind of guidance and conversations that I have with people about this process.
Fab. That's great. So although we say take action, but action isn't necessarily going doing it. It's start doing the research and really make sure what you're doing is going to work, basically. And I know we talked about once you've got those classes, how you can kind of upsell, either get people to attend more classes or sign up for a course, or even get private clients. Again, we were saying earlier about people, especially in this field, are quite reluctant to give people the sell. How can they do that ethically and so it feels comfortable to them and ultimately beneficial to their clients?
Yeah, I have my students prepare what I call the wellness briefcase, which is there's a few things that you should have on you at all times. One of them is you should have a pitch. You should have something that you've memorized that you can say to people that captures the essence of what you do in a really authentic way. Like for me, I might say to you that I'm the founder of this Women in Wellness Career Training. It's a one-of-a-kind course and community that helps you, build a successful holistic business. That could be my pitch. And I need to know what that is. I need to be able to say it at any time. And if it's really aligned with me, then it doesn't feel forced or uncomfortable, because it's just who I am and what I'm doing. So I encourage them to have a pitch. I always encourage them also to have a way to capture information from the people that they're meeting. So sometimes you'll go and you'll teach Pilates at someone else's gym, and you'll be teaching there over and over and over again, and you'll never collect any of the contact information for your students. And then when you go to open up your home fitness center, you don't have any way to reach the students that were coming to the gym where you were working. So a way to capture and consistently capture the emails or phone numbers or Facebook or whatever contact information you can get from people. And then the third thing that is really important to have at all times is something to hand out, a business card, a flyer, something that has your details and your information, so that you're giving them a takeaway and a way to connect with you. So if you get in the habit of doing these things, it doesn't become, it's not as much about the sales as it is about, if you were going to your 9-to-5 job, you would get up and you would put on your suit and you would take your laptop and you'd put it in your briefcase and you'd go and you would have your your equipment that you need to work. And this is part of your equipment as an entrepreneur. You have to have these things and you have to use them every day.
Absolutely. And so if someone's got those in their wellness briefcase, they've got that with them, how do they actually instigate that conversation?
Well, it depends on the environment that you're in. So, a great place to meet clients is at different kinds of events and, different kinds of conferences and networking events, local community groups, things like that. And shortly after introducing yourself, if someone says who you are, that's when you give the pitch. And the pitch can be adapted depending on the environment that you're in. I tell my students, if you're teaching a class and you want to pitch your private sessions, then you have a little pitch prepared, again, like 3 sentences where you say, thank you for coming to my Pilates class today. You're going to learn how to become, more flexible and strong. If you're struggling or you need some more support, I also offer private sessions in my home, and I'll give you some information at the end of class. And that's your pitch. And so it depending on the environment that you're in, you're going to adapt your pitch so that it's appropriate, but so that it easily and effortlessly rolls off your tongue. And mostly it's about letting people know who you are, because no one's a mind reader. So they're not going to just know when they meet you that you have private sessions or that you've written a book or, they're not going to, that you have a DVD, a Pilates DVD. So you have to let people know. And, most people are going to be really interested if they resonate with you and they have a good experience with you, they're going to want to read your book or buy your video. So,
yeah, it's funny. There's a real reluctance, isn't there? Especially in the UK. I think the kind of like the British seriousness, or I don't know, we're less kind of open and used to talking about ourselves and blowing our own trumpets. And actually, if we've just got if we've got DVDs or books and we just have them in a little table in the corner so that people can see them and you're not shoving them down people's throats, most people are going to think, oh, wow, I'm getting really good value here because she's obviously an expert. Whereas the person that's running the course can feel a bit embarrassed putting that stuff out. But it's not just helping you, but it's helping the client as well, because they're going to feel they're getting so much more value. They're probably going to be more committed as a result, and therefore they're going to get better results. So it's a way of serving our clients. If we kind of turn the thought process on its head, that can be really helpful, I found. And people out there, they need us. They need this help. They need the Pilates teachers and all these amazing things that people are offering. So we've got to give them maximum value, maximum impact, really. So, it's a great thing that we're doing this. I really am a strong believer in that, absolutely.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Cool. So I'm conscious of time. We haven't got much time left, Gabby, but I know you mentioned one thing I want to pick up on. You mentioned, I think you mentioned earlier, it's fairly easy to get media interest in what you're doing and that kind of thing. And without going into the whole social media, because that's a whole massive issue on its own, but what is the best way to get some more exposure? How could people get that going?
Yeah, I took a PR, a public relations course, and I wanted to sort of learn the secret behind, getting press and press coverage. And it turns out that it's a lot more simple than people think that it is. So anyone who's writing an article for a magazine or producing a program for TV or something like that needs content 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They constantly need content. They need products for their gift guides. They need experts on certain topics. They need people to comment or share the latest trends, or, they're constantly searching for things that they can put in their publication or their program. And the editors and the producers, they're just people like you and me. They're just people, and they're just doing their job, which is looking for content and trying to put it out. So establishing relationships with these editors and producers and offering things that they can put into their publication, you're actually doing them a service. You're actually helping them, because they then don't have to go out and look for that, new Pilates technique for belly fat or whatever. You can just put it on there, right in front of them for free and make it effortless for them. And then they can go, oh, this is great. And they can publish it. And so that's the concept. And then the execution of that is just finding ways to communicate, again, about what you do that's really clean and really simple and really attractive, and that offers a fresh spin. We don't want to hear the same story over and over again or see the same, program on TV. We want something that's fresh and new. And so finding what's fresh and new about you, what your unique contribution is, your unique perspective, and then putting it out and contacting editors. And in the front of every publication, it lists all the editors for all the different sections. So for us, for health and wellness practitioners, we're looking at people in the health and wellness section of a publication. We're looking for editors or producers who are producing health, wellness, fitness type programming. And we also have something called HARO. It's called Help a Reporter Out, which that's a website you can go to, and it sends a daily request for people who have information about different topics, and you can sign up to receive these announcements. And then if there's something that fits into your area of expertise, then you can respond and let people know about that.
Oh, that sounds amazing. So what was that?
Yeah.
HARO, H-A-R-O. Is that a website?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
HARO.com.
Is it .com? Let's see. H-A.
I just think that would be really useful for the listeners.
Mm-hmm.
And again, as you say, it's another way of serving. You're helping these out. So fantastic.
Okay, so I'm looking at the website. You actually have to type out the phrase helpareporter.com. So helpareporter.com, and then you sign up. And they'll send you requests for different media opportunities and ways to, get involved. And you don't want to limit yourself to this, right? So this is a great way to kind of, respond to things, but a lot of other people are also going to be responding. So you're competing against anyone else who's responding as a source. But this is a good way to get a sense of what journalists are looking for. And then don't be scared if you see, that there's someone who's writing for the Wall Street Journal or, your local newspaper or something about a topic that you have some expertise. Don't be scared to reach out and say, hey, I wrote a book about this. Let me comment on this story. Or, I teach classes about this. Here's my perspective. They're just people, and they need your insight and they need your information.
Absolutely. That's so useful. I know I can tell loads of people are going to be looking that up. I certainly am. So it's so useful. Thank you, Gabby. And you shared with us much really useful information, which I really thank you for. It's I think, as I was saying earlier, it's so important that these people in this wellness profession, they do go out and shout about what they're doing, because there's so many people out there that need our services. So it's fantastic work you're doing. Thank you so much. And thank you for sharing with us such great content. Really great. And you've got a brilliant free gift for us as well, haven't you?
Yeah, if people would like to use the meditation to create the vision for their work and their practice that I talked about earlier, tapping into that unconscious vision, I have, that meditation available to them so that they can learn how to build their dream career.
Fantastic. Thank you. That's it's going to be really useful. Gabby, I've loved talking to you. Thank you so much. And I know we'll talk again soon. So on behalf of the listeners and myself, thank you for joining us at Think Big and Shine. And we will speak again soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Liz.